Hello, our lovely Girl Awakening listeners. Welcome to 2023. I'm Jo Hendy from the Sacred Sister Project.
I'm Amanda Parker of Mayala Organics.
Come with us as we journey into this week's Awakening episode.
I talk to a spirit.
Hello, Amanda.
Hi, Jo.
Another beautiful guest.
Oh, fabulous day, fabulous being.
Yeah, one lady that I love. I just love you. Something resonates. There's some similarities, kind of the hairdressing and a few other little things. It's quite funny.
Getting a snippet of who the person might be. But yes, Jo has had a
crush. It's a girl crush.
A spirit crush on this
crush.
woman on this beautiful woman for a wee while now.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, listeners, today we have Vanessa Richardson, which is AKA the Grounded Goddess. A well-renowned psychic medium and consciousness mentor who resides on the Gold Coast in Queensland. Grounded Goddess channels a group known as the Collective. This is a group of light beings from the 9th dimension. This group, as well as universal consciousness, is how Grounded Goddess is able to connect, communicate, and relay personal, detailed messages from your loved ones who have passed. Throughout your reading, Grounded Goddess will pass on information about your timeline, realities, past lives, and this will give you a clear understanding of your purpose and direction around topics of love, health, career, family, and any changes necessary to assist you in expanding your own consciousness. This is like a very small aspect of what you do. Mm-hmm. Welcome, Vanessa.
Thank you. Nice to be here.
It's so lovely to have you. And yeah, like I said, that feels like just a very small aspect of what you do because there's so much more that you offer in just being you, really. And
that's it's a small snippet, but it's actually a huge area and offering to people.
Yeah, absolutely. So we're going to jump straight on in. We don't want to waste any time.
No, time is precious,
yes.
and we want to soak it all up.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
We're going to ask Vanessa straight up, how did your awakening begin, beautiful?
How did my awakening begin? Okay, for me, I'm still going through awakening, so it isn't just a one-off, there I am, and everything is dropping in. I don't know if that would be a good thing or bad thing if it all happened at once, but it's an ongoing process, as you guys would know. And I think it started quite young for me, although I wouldn't have called it an awakening back then because I didn't know what to call it. But around 8 or 9 is when I would start seeing spirits, mainly at night when I was, drifting off to sleep. There I would be visited by spirits, and I think that was my first connection to another realm or the afterlife or whatever you want to call it. And they would show me things. I would see things. I was very scared though. It wasn't a pleasant experience, and I would tell my parents and they would say, oh, that's just a bad dream, or it's okay, or you go back to sleep, you'll be fine. And after a while I started saying, but my eyes are open and, I don't think it's a dream. But I couldn't tell them because obviously this was something unusual or not the norm. So I learned to hide it very well, and I hid it for a long time. But I would also receive downloads, or I'd see snippets of things and then they would happen. That started at a young age too, where one particular one that stood out, I was about 9 and we had friends come over, and when they left I saw them having a car accident.
Oh gosh. And
then they called later that night to say, oh, we've had a car accident, so-and-so is in hospital.
Oh wow.
And then I started thinking, oh my God, did I cause that? I saw that. And so I sort of blamed myself, and I didn't tell anyone about that. It was a lot.
And you're 9 taking that on,
And didn't have anyone to tell. Obviously, as the years went on, my beautiful nan, I found, was very spiritual and very open-minded. So we would have really nice chats. She lived about an hour and a half away. So as I got older, I would drive out to see her.
So special.
She would often do healings on me and speak in tongue, and that was my first connection to channeling, was my nan doing a healing on me and channeling. So
that's so beautiful. And we get this a lot. There's a lot of grandparents that it's like missed a generation.
Yeah.
And even in that, it's like you're allowing her to come out with her gifts that she probably has been suppressed with. You know,
Yeah.
it's like it works both ways. That exchange is really beautiful.
Yeah, it did. She hid it from her husband and her children and everything
Yes.
for years as well. And
Yeah.
so we had that special bond
Oh, it's so
and
beautiful.
connection, which I'll always cherish. She's not with us anymore, but
Yeah.
I'll always remember that.
Yeah.
How gorgeous! Just you can just feel that energy in the room with
Yeah.
the two of you. What a
Yeah.
beautiful thing to be sharing with each other,
Oh,
and
yeah.
for her to pass on. And
Yeah. And then I think the next big one was about 15 years ago. No, sorry. How old am I? I gotta work that out. About
Time
12
doesn't
12
matter.
years ago. When I came up here, my partner and I moved up here away from all of our family. Everyone's from Sydney.
Yep.
So we came up here on our own, and I guess because we didn't know anyone and he was working a lot and I was a sales rep at that time, I think I got to spend a lot of time on my own, and that was a big awakening in that sense of, that's when I really got into angel cards and bought my first lot of decks and crystals, and I did my Reiki course and crystal healing, and all that started once I moved up here. And the Gold Coast is a very spiritual, special area.
Yeah.
Very, very magical. Yes, there's the other side of the Gold Coast.
So
but
many layers.
I've
You can
heard,
choose. You can choose.
I've
Yeah.
heard this a lot. That there's some grid points that are quite powerful because we have the
Yeah.
mountains and the ocean, and then
Yeah.
we're right in the middle there. Yeah.
And I've often seen an experience of portal
Ah.
over at Nobby, Miami.
wow.
That headland there. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Wow.
it's really magical there.
Yeah, I like that.
You feel it.
That's why we walk there all the time.
Yes.
And the moon comes up over that Miami mountain. What are they?
Magic Mountain.
Magic
Yeah,
Mountain.
Which is
that's
bizarre,
it.
isn't
Yeah,
it? It's called
that's
Magic
it.
Mountain. There
That's
used to be
the
a
portal
castle
area.
on the mountain.
Yeah, that's the portal where it's been. Yeah.
Wow, that's amazing. That's probably why we love walk. And we've called that path the path of enlightenment because we see so many people that we know.
Yes.
It's wild. Yeah.
We're all drawn there.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Wow.
So you were kind of separated from your friends and family, and
had
the
to
time
space.
alone, you like start to look in. And
Yeah. Yeah. And I think the information just started coming in a lot more when I was up here alone, and I had a lot more visions, a lot more feelings, a lot more knowing, hearing things as well. So many synchronicities that I just couldn't ignore.
Oh, okay. Can we
yeah.
let's just go there right now, because I think this is a really powerful point you're just making, the synchronicities.
Yeah.
So is that a sign that you would say personally that you're now thinking, now that you know that, at the time you probably didn't see it, that you're on track when you're seeing constantly all these things happening, that you're, oh my God,
You're
oh
in
my
the
God.
right place.
Yeah, I do believe
Yeah.
that. Yeah. And I feel that it's the same for many people.
Yes.
You start to see 1111, you start to see feathers, you start to see other reoccurring numbers, and
Wow.
it kind of, I feel like that's just a layer in itself of an awakening.
Yes.
And it, it kind of just keeps building and growing from there of what comes next. And the hard thing is when we see the 1111, we're all like, what does that mean?
Yeah.
What does that mean? Everyone gets out Google and looks at it. But I think for me, it's almost like it's a frequency. You're in tune with something. You're in alignment.
Yes.
So it doesn't have a specific meaning because the universal language isn't English.
Yes.
Or isn't the logical third dimensional mind.
Yeah.
It's symbols. It's sign. It's frequency. So we can't necessarily know what each number means.
Yeah.
So
no,
you kind of
I
have
love
to
that.
go with the feeling. Is that
What that
you're
feels
saying?
for you. And it will feel different for everyone.
I cry sometimes
Yeah.
when I get, because I just recently had a dream about getting tattoos on the back of my thighs of birds, specifically birds.
Oh,
And I was like, no, I don't want them.
No.
And then please find somewhere else.
By the way, Jo's been getting bombed by birds on our walks nearly every
Yes.
morning.
Oh,
Like they're
wow.
obviously
Yeah.
trying to, not in a mean way, in a just like a little
Yeah.
A little
wings
love tap.
past your
I
ears.
love that. So just quickly, I get on my walk in the morning, my physical walk where I'm awake,
Yes.
and I'm walking, and this girl runs past me at 5 a.m, and she's got 2 birds tattooed on the back of her thighs. And I
Wow.
I wanted to cry. I was like,
Oh.
oh, this is really happening.
You're like,
you know?
well, there's my sign. It's on her. I don't have to have it. Yes, exactly.
But that's what's happening. You know, for me personally at the moment,
Yeah.
I'm getting these signs. They're getting bigger
Yes.
and strong.
Louder.
Yes,
Yeah.
louder,
You
stronger.
can't ignore
Yeah.
them.
And I'm just like, I said to Amanda this morning, it's like, I'm in the no fucks place
Yeah.
now. I'm like, I just have to say yes to everything that in the positive way that comes to me.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's
I
no
love that.
holding
That's
back.
Brooke's fault.
Yeah, that is Brooke's fault. Yeah, sorry.
Coming.
Please keep going.
So yeah, with you know, synchronicities, they were strong. I was seeing a lot more spirits as well, and I would get shown and told things, and then I'd reach out to a person, you know, back in Sydney, and say, hey, but I'd say I'd have a dream. I had a dream that this was this, because I was still hiding it.
Put it in acceptable terms, kind of
yeah.
thing. Yeah.
And so
Well, that long ago too, it still would have been a little bit woo-woo kind of
very
thing.
taboo.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was.
Did you think you were a little bit crazy at first? Was that did that go
yeah.
through your mind?
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
it sure did. Yeah.
Wow.
It felt, you know, later on when I did open up about it, a lot of people would say, "Oh, it's a gift," but it didn't feel like a gift.
Yeah.
It, especially when I'd see, you know, spirits and suicidal spirits
Yeah.
and how they passed. It was terrifying,
Wow.
and I didn't like that. I didn't
Yeah.
want that, and I didn't know how to protect myself or how to stop it. But it's almost like, in hindsight, now I know that opening up is the first dimension that I see, and unfortunately, it is the lower veils and the lower dimensions of darker energies or darker spirits or denser spirits, I should say.
Yeah.
So you sort of open yourself up to that part first, and then you
Ah.
go up into the other frequencies or other dimensions to see and experience
This
the
is
nicer
so
ones, I
wild.
guess.
So
wow.
is this because
It's like an initiation
Yeah.
process, isn't it?
Yeah, it's like, next time, can we skip that part and bypass the scary ones?
yeah.
Because, by the way, Vanessa also looks a little bit like an angel itself.
Yes.
So to go, like, to be around that dense energy is kind of like, you know, there's like a bright light shining in a dark room. It kind of doesn't. The resonancy would
yeah.
be, you know, not saying that you're different or you know better than or in none of that energy field, but just when you have a light being in a dense space, it's hard work.
Yeah. It is. And at that stage, they weren't communicating with me, so they would just stand there and show me how they passed, and sometimes I'd hear the screaming or whatever that
wow.
was. It was really awful.
Yeah.
And so I'd sleep with the light on for quite a few years. I slept with the light on. Even now, sometimes if I'm alone and my husband's not home, I sleep with the light on.
I'm with you. I hear you.
That's so wild. So was it just coming in any time, or was it right? So you could
Anytime.
you didn't have any control over that at that stage. Yeah.
Anytime. And at one stage I was in the Hunter Valley because I worked for a wine company.
Oh my God.
And they sent me to learn and from the winemaker and be at the cellar door in the Hunter Valley and get to meet everyone and do wine tastings. And they put me up in
Such old
Imagine
energy.
what you're going
Oh
to
my
say.
God.
I've been down there and stayed at a really old place.
yes, you know,
It's terrifying.
it's terrifying.
And
They
I don't
put
see
me-
dead people.
Well, they came in thick and fast
Yes.
there, and I think it was the winemaker's parents' granny flat at the back of the house. So it had been around for a long time.
Yeah.
And I remember sort of, you know, even having a shower, I'd get out and I had that feeling of I was being watched.
Oh, yes.
And so I'm like
Oh my
covering it
God.
up. No one's around me, but I'm like, oh, this is weird. I feel weird. I feel exposed.
Yes.
And then at night, it was 2 nights in a row, every hour on the hour, a spirit will come to visit. And
Oh, wow.
It kind of feels a little bit sad too, because
Yeah.
they're wanting to be heard, aren't they?
yes.
Yeah.
But I was like, leave
Yeah.
me alone.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. I can't help you. I don't like you. You're scaring me.
I'm just here for the wine.
I wasn't even allowed to drink the wine, so I couldn't even have that. And
Wow.
so I'd only just started with that company, so I was only a week or two in,
Wow.
and I was supposed to be up the Hunter Valley for 6 weeks. So after that week or so of having that every night, I was then driving all the way back to Sydney because I had a company car, and then the next morning driving all the way back up to the Hunter Valley. So anyone that knows that, it's like,
It's
you
a
know,
big
maybe an
drive.
hour. Yeah.
So you wouldn't stay there.
I couldn't stay there.
Yes.
And then my boss said to me, I've noticed you're racking up the kilometres and the petrol on the company car. You know, are you going home? And I said, yeah, I am. And he said, why, what's wrong? I said, I just don't feel comfortable staying there.
Oh my
And
goodness.
he kept pushing me, and he goes, well, what do you mean? I said, I don't feel comfortable being there. And at the time there were some little bugs and stuff. So he kept pushing me, and I said, oh, there's some bugs and spiders and stuff around. He's like, oh, we'll get the people to come and
terminate.
Yes. And so
Ghostbusters. Like the pest control. The spirit control.
So bless them, they went and did that, and then I was like, oh, I'm gonna have to stay here now. And then I said, look, is there somewhere else I can go?
A newer place?
Yeah. And he goes, is there still bugs? And I said, no. I can't stay here. I'm scared.
Yeah.
And he's like, has someone done something, or what's happened? And anyway, he kept pushing me, and I just blurted it out.
Yeah.
I'm seeing dead people.
Oh, wow.
Vanessa came out.
Yes. To her boss.
And I was like very angry about it. And he's like just silent. It was like,
he would not have been expecting that. Hey?
Yeah. He's like, okay, what, like, all right, yep, we can move you. And at the time, that company, the wine company was called Cockfighter's Ghost.
Oh my God.
That was the name of it.
I'm just getting all this.
And so he said, and then I became the joke of the,
yes, of course.
Everyone was like, oh, Vanessa sees Cockfighter, because that was the horse.
Yes.
It was named after a horse, Cockfighter's Ghost, that runs the vineyards at night, apparently.
Oh, amazing.
And so, everyone knew, which I was mortified about.
Yeah.
But come that next Christmas party, they're all lining up to have
Yes.
their palms read. That's what I
course.
started doing. I started reading palms.
No
Oh,
way.
it's just giving me the biggest tingle. I love the way that accidentally on purpose these things happen.
But I wasn't even trained in how to read.
I love that.
I only knew, I don't even know if I can remember it now, but it's like the lifeline, the
headline,
the heart line, like marriage lines. Like, I knew 6 basic things, but then information would just come.
I was going to say, you're probably reading.
You weren't even reading the palms yet.
And there was 12 people lining up on a Christmas party night, and I'm okay. Next.
Wow.
And they're like, you should do this.
Yeah.
I was like, don't be silly. Like, no. What kind of profession is that? That's weird. I was very judgmental of it myself.
Yeah.
Therefore, I couldn't sort of accept that could be an option for me.
As a
it's
real
so
pathway.
wild.
Yeah.
It's just so wild, because it's just happening naturally for you and to you. And a lot of us, are like, please show me.
I was like, please don't show me.
Please don't show me. It's always the way, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
Wow.
Yeah.
So where did that lead you from there?
So that was Hunter Valley, and then I would have been about, what was I then? 28, 29. And then I came, they moved us up here. And so then I've been, it must have been about 20. We moved up here just before my 30th. And so from there, I was a state sales manager for them, because they were a small company and they didn't have any sales team up here. So I did the whole state of Queensland on my own.
Wow,
so I was traveling a lot and doing my own leisure, but I also had, obviously I was going through my own sort of journey, and things were coming in, and I was fascinated, and I couldn't get enough of trying to, help myself and grow and meditate, and I just loved it. I couldn't get enough. And so I was like, okay, how can I get more time to do that by, but also look after the whole state? So I was like, all right. So I got a budget of, I think they gave me a budget of 150 cases of wine I had to sell for the year, you know. So I was like, okay, how can I do this? Right. So off I went to Suncorp Stadium.
Oh, perfect. Start big.
Met with corporate boxes.
Met with the rugby Reds rugby, and I did a presentation and offer to them of our wines and what we could offer, and came up with all these ideas of, we can get the players down to the Hunter Valley to crush the grapes and create our own label called the Reds Red.
Unreal.
So I was very creative in what I did, and that year we sold 400 dozen cases of wine. So I was like, sweet. I've done my budget, and now I can go off and take the foot off the accelerator.
Do you think that was like part of the universe totally backing you to go.
Supporting,
Yeah.
true.
That's
I
so
do.
beautiful, because when you make the decision and the intention, it's like everything else just comes along with
Yeah.
you, doesn't it?
Yeah. So that was just to kind of grow and learn. That wasn't to start
Yeah.
the business. And then after my husband and I, we got married, and then we had our son. So when I came back from maternity leave, which was quite a common pattern with this company, they would move the women on after they'd had a baby. So I had a bit of an inkling, but I thought, surely not.
Yeah.
There's only me, and by that stage I'd hired 2 other people because we were growing in the state. And so I thought, surely they wouldn't get rid of me.
Yeah.
And so I started to, I guess, just have a bit of a backup plan of, I was feeling drawn to actually start seeing clients.
Yeah.
So at that stage I was renting a little room off Christina at Eyebrow Boutique at Mermaid. I went in to have my
she's
brows.
Gorgeous girl. Yeah, she's lovely, lovely person.
She's
and beautiful space.
Oh, gorgeous space. So I had my eyebrows done, and she's like, "What do you do?" And I said, "I'm a wine rep, but I really love this." And she's like, "Oh, you should rent a room off me." I was like, "Okay." And so she said, "I'll
She's
just
quite
charge you."
herself a little bit, yeah.
And so she said, "I'll just charge you whenever you have a client, rather than make you commit to something when you're just growing." So it was perfect. So I started, I think I was just doing 1 or 2 clients a week or a fortnight to begin with. And she was the one referring when she's doing brows. She's saying, "Oh, you should have a reading, or you should have a healing." And I came back from maternity leave, and sure enough, the boss flew up and made me redundant. And it was at that stage where, it was a shock, because I was on good money.
Yeah.
Had to hand back the company car and all that. So it's like, okay,
And
what do I
when you've
do?
invested yourself in something like that too, like it's always a shock to kind of turn it around and just be a number as well, isn't it? And just how it all stacks
it's not
up
good
that
for
way.
the ego, I can tell you that.
But there was something else occurring, wasn't
that's
there?
insane.
And so I remember sitting down with my husband, and I said, I don't know why, but I don't want to go and get another job. I don't want to, search. I feel like I want to kind of pursue this path and see how the clients go. And he said, yeah, okay, like, give it a few months and see what happens and see how you go. And off I went, and here I still am. So
was
amazing.
Grounded Goddess born in that moment?
Yeah.
Wow.
She was born in that moment. And it was more of, I guess that grounded as in, yes, connecting up there, but
Still
down here, still human,
Yes.
still raw, still keeping it real in that sense.
Yeah, absolutely. Did you find that when you were pregnant and all of that, did anything change for you? Like, as in, did your gifts back off a little bit?
No,
or
they
not?
amped up.
They amped up, yeah.
They amped up. And even before when I was pregnant with my second child, I was sitting at home, and my husband and son were out, and I was sitting on the couch, and I was like, oh, I better go and do something. And I turned the TV off, and I heard, "Mummy," like this little girl voice.
Oh my
and
God.
it was so loud, I answered it.
Yeah.
And I said, yes. And then I'm like, oh, hang on.
There's no one here.
And then I just knew, and I was like,
Oh,
I'm pregnant with a girl. And sure enough, we were.
so beautiful.
So very special.
Oh, that's
Incredible. Jo's just going to breathe for a minute.
That's so beautiful, and that's what's available. It's like
Acceptance of more than ourselves, isn't it?
Yeah, it's lovely.
It's so beautiful. So let's move on to the next question.
So since you, since Grounded Goddess became grounded, what have you noticed happening around you, Vanessa?
Within or around,
Well,
or both?
I
Everywhere.
think, because I think they're both for you, aren't they?
Yeah, they both impact the other. What have I noticed? Well, when I guess Grounded Goddess was birthed in that sense, I had to drop the sneakiness. I had to let go of the, hiding who I was, and because that was scary. Because anywhere you go and you meet new people, what do you do? What do you do?
Yeah,
And I was getting that asked all the time, and I didn't know how to answer it. sometimes I still say, oh, I'm a stay-at-home mum, because I don't want to. Then people go, oh, tell me about me, or what do you think? You know,
because that's the first thing people just want to be told, don't they? Yeah.
And I think, I'm switching off from that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it was scary to say I'm a psychic, you
Yeah.
know, because it feels weird. It's still I don't like labels. Like now, I still don't like them. It's still like, oh, that feels icky, you know.
Weird, yeah.
Yeah.
Because I guess in a way it could also isolate you as much as it can make you popular at a party. It can isolate you because people don't always understand.
Well,
or
their stuff.
They don't believe.
Yeah. Or their stuff will come up and I'm, she can see me.
Yes, they do. It's almost like their whole demeanor changes when I say that, because they're like, don't look at me. And I'm like, don't worry, I'm not reading you.
I'm not reading you right now.
But
I'm just getting told parts of you.
I'm just going to shut that off, put it away for later. But they do. And it was, you know, when you think of, especially back then, you know, 10-ish years ago when I was doing it, it wasn't as accepted or as needed or wanted or sought after as what it is now. And so when you think of it, you sort of think of a little old lady with the crystal ball and the, you know, like, and I was like, well, no, I'm not that. So I've got to create my own, still be me.
Yes.
And deliver it this way. And so that was hard. And I didn't necessarily tell my family, oh, this is what I'm now doing. I used the healing side. Oh, I'm doing my healing.
Yes.
And doing my Reiki. So I was still kind of hiding it, because I didn't know how it would be accepted or received.
Yeah. It's so interesting, because I think in the last couple of years, I think people in this area are getting refined with what they do. So, you know, we can say a psychic, but that can be so much in that word itself. But people are going, no, this is the area I want to work in. And it's very refined, and it's more of a personal gift.
Yeah.
It's different
the
from
language for each person.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Because we all have
Yes.
those abilities. It's not, you know, and it's not something I was born with or gifted with. Or I don't feel that I necessarily chose this in, if you call it soul contract or whatever. You know, I think we have these abilities, and it's just a matter, to me, it's just awareness.
Yeah.
It's just being sensitive to energy and sensitive to experiences. So
and then fine tuning that, isn't it? Yeah. No, absolutely.
And as it kind of, it seems, sorry.
No, that's what I was just going to say. The responsibility for the healer to be conscious of what they're sharing too with the people these days. Yes. You know, it's become everybody's quite, I don't know what the right word is, like feeling. Sensitive, yeah.
Everyone's very empathetic themselves and feels things and is very, a lot more aware themselves. It's much more accepted now than it was back then, I guess. Yeah.
But there's also people like yourself that are very activating. So when I was talking about the responsibility part, it's like, well, how much do I want to share with this person in front of me that they are going to be able to walk away with? And handle.
And that's a big thing as a reader. And I guess in the past, you know, when I started, I realized I was very much a people pleaser. And, you know, reading and telling them things, but also making sure that they're happy with what I'm saying. And it took me a long time to sort of stop that and be like, no, like, you tell them what you're getting, deliver it in a nice way. But like, whatever's coming through, you can pass that on, or even ask them at the beginning, is there something you don't want to talk about? And that's their opportunity to go, I don't want to know about this, or I don't want to know about that, and I will do my best not to go there. Because they don't want to hear that, and that's okay. Even if it comes through, I have to almost filter that part and not blurt it out.
And sometimes you find it comes through in a different way that they are okay about hearing. And what I'm kind of resonating with, like in my own experience, like in the early years when I first started doing like beauty therapy and working with people physically, remedial therapies and things, it takes a lot of bodies to get used to your own skills and how to work with people. And like I'm feeling that with what you're sharing, like, you know, how you're getting used to the language and what you're feeling, what's coming through yourself, and then the different people that are coming to you, or, you know, finding you. That it takes a lot of that
Yeah.
one-on-one to kind of find your rhythm, doesn't it?
It does, yeah. And, you know, I think, starting from, 1 or 2 a week and then going, gosh, at one stage I went a little bit crazy. I think I was fitting in about 7 a day.
Wow.
And
It's a
just
big
going
energy.
1 to 1 to 1 to 1. Yeah, just not stopping. And it's just not sustainable and not ideal. So I had to really then, I was floored when I'd get home and I think, what's wrong with me? And it's like, well, hang on a minute. Like, you've just been in all these people's energy fields and
100,000 volts coming through you.
That's huge.
And to channel, for me, I don't know what it's like for other psychics, but for me, it's like I have to be in a certain frequency in order to get and receive that information, and to hold that frequency is very exhausting. I would often do, group nights where I would channel spirits for everyone in the room and be like, oh, I'm getting this, or this has come through. And
Wow.
but after an hour and a bit, I was like, okay, I'm done, everyone. Like, it would just be like, stop. It was just done. And they're like, oh, and I'm like, okay, I'm out. And then it's like, it took me a long time to come down after that. I'd be like wired but tired. It's a strange feeling.
I've often wondered how, that, because it's all those, like, you've spoken about some of your experiences in picking up on energy, Joe, and then going, wow, is this what it's like for the universe all the time, or is this what it's like for healers all the time? You know, it was overwhelming. And then to hear you say that, Vanessa, is I don't know, I don't expect that you could do it for a very long period of time. An hour even so would be like a big chunk of energy. Because people, once you start picking up on people, like you said, those spirits coming through, like in the Hunter Valley, it's like
they don't care.
No,
they don't care.
They just keep coming.
Like, the door's open, keep coming. And a lot of people
a light.
like that. Which actually I learned after I've actually had a session, for the listeners, I've actually had a session with Vanessa, and it was like, it felt like there was a big being in the room, which was you, and you and you were like,
is that good or bad?
no, it's good. It's very good. I just had my eyes closed the whole time, but you were coughing stuff that was coming out of me, and I was like, oh my God, I feel so sorry for this woman.
That's the thing. You do. We take it on in our physical bodies. And
absolutely.
Because that's what happens. And I will cough. I will, feel pain in certain areas in my body as well, and I have to clear it. Sometimes I've stopped a reading to go and vomit.
Yes.
A couple of times I've had to do that, and sometimes I've stopped a reading altogether because it was too much.
Yeah.
Without going into it too much, but a particular client was under the influence of drugs, and I couldn't even sit on my chair. I was like swaying, and so nauseous, and I just said, I can't do this anymore. I'm going to end it. I'll refund the
Did you know
amount. Yeah.
So you were told, or you just knew straight away?
I could feel it, and I was told.
Yes.
Yeah. And that's honouring.
Yeah, that's
both of you, though, isn't it? Because it's, you can't, I don't know, that's the only way I can say it. It's honouring yourself as the channel and the interpreter, and also perhaps that the person who's coming in, even though they're there for a purpose, isn't ready for some reason. And
that's the thing. Going back 7-10 years ago, I wouldn't have ended it. I would have
felt
like I needed to keep going because I was a people pleaser, and and now it's like, oh no, I'm aware how I'm feeling in my body, and I have to honor that and say enough's enough. Like,
that's a big one. That's
so
a big
I've
one.
learned that a lot about myself. Mainly in the last 2-3 years in particular.
Well, I guess that kind of answers one of our questions is, what have you decided to change? Which is,
how long we got? What have I decided to change? Within myself, or the business, or
just the things that stand out, I suppose, for you.
Because honouring yourself is a big one. To go from being a people pleaser to we all can identify with that. To honouring yourself, that's a big step forward.
Well, I know Joe mentioned this with me before about I think so it was December not last year, the year before, so 2021, and I was on a bit of a high, like my cards had all come out, and You know, that was like a goal, like something that I wanted, and I achieved it. And I was on a high from that. I'd done 2 or 3 retreats that year. Like it was good. I'm pretty sure that was that year.
Yeah, it was.
It
I went to a
just started
retreat too.
changing.
Yeah, it was beautiful.
You and
I was on a high too.
Fun.
Yeah.
It was good fun.
It was.
And then something happened, and I got I felt a very dark presence, and one that I've never experienced like that before. And it shook me. It really shook me. And I cancelled all my clients for the rest of the year and the beginning of January. It zapped everything out of me. It's like I had nothing, and I actually felt it was trying to take whatever I had. Yeah.
Wow.
So I didn't like that. And you know, we can protect ourselves, but we can't control everything. We can't stop things. We can set intentions, but intentions aren't everything.
Yeah.
And so I had that experience, and it woke me, and I could see the darkness coming in.
Wow.
And I couldn't breathe. And I'd had psychic attacks and things like that before, which is similar, but this was a lot more intense. So I ended up going away with my sister out to O'Reilly's rainforest for about 3 days.
Beautiful spot.
And just to kind of come back into my body again, and just really nurture myself and take it easy. And you know, I went to go back to work after that, and I just wasn't ready. I wasn't ready. I just felt like I'd had a bit of a break, and I actually enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Because I was operating in my masculine energy for so long, even though it's a grounded goddess, it's grounded masculine. Well, and so I was just like, next hit, cards, next. You know, it was just 100 miles an hour. I liked life in the fast lane.
Yeah, I was going to say, when things are going so well, you just want to keep going.
Oh, yeah. And this forced me to really stop and be present, and to slow right down and be in the feminine. But I resisted it for a long time, because I was like, this feels boring. This is, I didn't like it. And then it's almost like once I came out of that and I got myself back together, and I was, you know, connecting and feeling really good, a lot of stuff dropped in, but not how I thought it would, or not what it had been in the past. So here I went from, I guess, feeling like a big fish in a little ocean, you know, to now feeling like a little fish in a massive ocean, because it's like everything I thought I knew about spirituality and that I now questioned.
Okay. Wow.
I now questioned.
Pretty awesome.
Yeah. And awesome. I didn't realize that at the time.
I get emotional hearing this.
Yeah.
I do. I get emotional hearing it, because it's like, keep going. It's beautiful.
Yeah, it just felt, you know, I guess everything that I was taught or believed or went and did workshops on or read of, you know, when you're connecting, it's your spirit guide, and this is what they do, and this is them. It's like, but is it our spirit guide, or what is a spirit guide? And it made me question everything. Wow. Absolutely everything, to soul contracts, to spirit guides, to angels, to dimensions, to the afterlife, what I'm connecting with. When I'm channeling, or when other psychics are channeling, what are they channeling? Can they be sure what they're channeling is what that is? But no, it's still coming through their filtered own perspective.
Absolutely.
So it's like, okay, well, they're saying this. I'm not getting that. I'm getting something else. But it's like the people that maybe can't channel, or are still learning or wanting to learn, it's like they just hand over all their power to a psychic or a channeler or somebody else, and that person says, oh, this is how it is, or this is that's this,
and they go,
and they go, oh, great,
or anything like that.
And that felt really icky for me, because I felt that everyone was handing their power over to me in a reading, and who am I to tell them what their life's going to be? Because where's their free will in that, or where's their own power? And so then I started changing my readings. When you talk about what I've changed, I changed my readings to be, I'm not just telling you one option. I'm going to tell you your different timelines. You can choose the timeline that you want to walk. Because then that's freeing me of that expectation. And then they're clinging to
what you have said.
Yeah.
That's so powerful. And just hearing you say that, I can,
really-
even the questioning of yourself is like, I can feel the limitations in that, you know, where you were like, you had it this way, and this, and this, and this, and this, how limiting that is. And, you know, we're having ladies sit there and say, oh, nothing is set in stone anymore. You know, we're going to be seeing new gifts that are going to be coming through that we've never heard of.
Yeah.
And, you know, don't limit yourself to what you can learn and know.
Yeah. And that's the thing, you know, a lot of people, you know, and I did it myself. You turn to someone who seems to sort of know what they're doing, or and you ask questions and you get that information, then you run with that. That then becomes your truth and your belief.
Yeah.
And it's like all of my beliefs and my truths then change to something that I'm still working through.
Yeah.
But it's amazing. It's like a
That's so freeing.
It's like a new world,
New
about,
paradigm.
isn't it? You know,
Yeah.
That's what it was. It was like it felt like a massive ego shift.
Yeah.
In that sense of, okay, well, who are you to do this? And, you know, that doesn't feel right anymore. And like, I've kind of let that go.
Yeah.
I mean, ego still always a little bit
Yeah,
there.
yeah,
But
Absolutely. We need it. We need
a little bit of a healthy ego.
It's okay to have a healthy ego.
But yeah, it was just like was thinking very differently. But again, not what others weren't thinking the same way. And so I kept it private, because it's like this, I don't need to push this on to anyone.
Absolutely.
Or to change their world because of they
It's
may
a
be
very
very comfortable with how they're seeing it.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's
And-
very internal, isn't it?
Yes.
And that's what I think's been happening in the last couple of years.
yeah.
It's a very internal shift.
Yeah, and to me it was private. It's like, okay, I'm going through all this, and I'm seeing it as this, and I'm questioning all this, and you know, this now resonates with me. This no longer resonates. But what do I do with that? Because people turn to me for answers and advice, and is it right for me to then tell again my perspective, or is that going to ruffle a few feathers, or it's not going to resonate with them? And so I've been going through a lot of that, and all I can do is just say, oh, this is my perspective, or this is what I feel, or trust with this and what I'm getting.
Lead by example.
What do you get? You feel into and see if that resonates for you. If it does, great, run with it. If it doesn't, then that is totally also fine.
That's so beautiful. And just for the listeners, on a more of a human level, for the last few years, I've been getting the mum energy, you know, like how do we have to be a mum? Well, I don't like that. Doesn't fit with me anymore. You know, I don't want to live in that mum label world anymore. I want to be free around my kids, and I want them to expand their mind and their world wherever they need to go. And it's just like that, you know, we're so limited in our labeling. And it's time we kind of broke free of those.
100%. And I did. I then was like, okay, no more in-person readings at my shop. I kind of shut that down, went to online only, pulled way back from the amount of readings I was doing, restructured the offerings that I was doing. So I'm getting more balance and more time as a mom, as a wife, as a human myself. So that I could walk that talk. You know, I talk about self-care and looking after yourself, and I wanted to create more balance, and that meant something had to change around work to shift that for me. And
God, that feels so beautiful. I can feel the space in there.
And kind of what I was like, when you first started talking about that dark energy coming in, and the timeline of that too, I was just getting this sense of like what was happening on the planet then as well too. Like, you know, how, because everything's the micro macro, you know, what's happening within and the collective. And especially when you're, you know, living life as an empath and a healer, you're so sensitive to those things happening within yourself, but also around in the collective on the planet. And I was like, oh God, Vanessa's getting taken out. But then, and obviously there was an aspect of that too. But then when you, like, as you're saying, it's that choice that a lot of us have been forced to make. Some of us haven't been able to make. Around sovereignty and autonomy and freedom of choice, and investing in our health and our wellness and that balance in life, and that life has changed forever, and we have to go forward in a way that is more serving of ourselves and others. And, you know, to honor that experience, you know, for yourself.
And it felt really freeing.
I was going to say,
freeing.
It's so beautiful, and I know that there's going to be a lot of people listening going, just feeling so so grateful that you've done that. You've stood there and done that, because, you know, it just opens doorways for people to go, it's okay to not, you know, to free yourself.
Especially when you're successful as well. I don't know if you want to use that word, but, you know, to be successful and looking like you're doing it all. You know, to then go, no, I'm just going to turn the button off for a minute.
And that's what it was. It was like, I questioned ground. I was like, that name doesn't resonate anymore. I don't like labels. I don't know who I am anymore, but no, it's like
little Vanessa decided to rebel.
But it's like, I knew who I was. It was just changing everything around to represent this now. And I guess that has to happen, because we're always growing and evolving and changing and shifting. But it's like, the things that I wanted to do, and, you know, I even got offered to have the next deck published by publisher.
Wow.
And I was like, no, put the brakes on it. I've already done the whole thing. And I was like, no, not doing it. Pulled out.
Wow. That's it. And that's just the thing.
That's
thing,
so
isn't it?
good, isn't it?
So tell us a bit more about your with your cards, because that was a part of that period leading up to when you turned off the world.
Do they
for a
still
while.
resonate with you?
They you know, they do, because that was massive.
Yes.
What was it?
But where I'm at now is there was a different deck coming that I'd already created, which still resonates, and I love it. But it was almost like, and when I'm such a believer in, if it's not feeling right, I can't do it. I just can't. No matter like, if it all leads to like you should be doing, or it should be like this.
Looks right on paper.
If it feels, exactly. If it looks right on paper, but if it's like a little like, I don't know about this, I'm not going to do it. And
that's so good to hear, because so many women question everything.
Yeah.
I'm one of them. Like, you know, if there's if I look at me, I can't even like.
You can. P.S. she's a Libran, but that's got nothing to do with it.
It's like my discernment. It's like I've asked it to come in, you know, and it's there, and I'm like, no, Joe, you know, I really have to start listening more, and I am. I'm getting much better at it. But hearing you say, even if there's a little bit, it's like I used to grab hold of that little bit and go, no, because that little bit. This loud bit can just go away, and that little bit says,
maybe I can still do
it's
that.
wild.
You know, me a year ago, I would have jumped at that chance of having the deck published and traveling around and, you know, promoting it and doing all that. I would have loved that, loved it. So it was also very confronting for myself to go, that's not who I am anymore.
Wow.
And I don't want to do that. I don't want to be away from my family and the space I'm in now, and loving being present and just going where I want, to planning and having to show up to launches or whatever it is. And even though I would have been making good money in that, it's like it wasn't worth
that.
The disturbance in my body for me. It was like, I'm happy. I've done, you know, a deck, and I've achieved that, and I'm happy, and I've done everything I've wanted with Grounded Goddess, and I'm really grateful for, you know, the support and the community and everyone that's been there from go to woe, or however long they've stayed on or left, or, you know, whatever that is. It's been really beautiful to have that community and space, and for people to share. And now it's like, I'm just really enjoying being more in my feminine and going slow and not having to achieve anything, but still feeling very successful because I'm living a life that is in alignment for me. And that to me is success.
That's so beautiful. And I don't know whether this is part of that or not, but I know you have a very loving husband. I don't know him personally. Hello, Vanessa's husband. But I can only imagine that would have been really, in some way, beautiful for him.
Oh, yeah. He gets me all to himself.
Yes, I know. You know, it's like that balance, almost like there's a balance that's come back in. I can kind of feel that. It's really,
It's beautiful, because you can't have two masculines in the house, can you?
It's quite...
Well, not without some rocking of, you know, it's going to cause some turbulence. So
absolutely. So this is almost like your second awakening, isn't it?
Yeah.
And it's a big one.
Yeah.
It's really beautiful. Really beautiful. We've done that. Oh, so in this one, like this shift that's occurred, have you had to give up anything, like people or Like we know that you've definitely changed things in the work arena around the Grounded Goddess, but have you found shifts in relationships with people, or has that happened, or have you been? I suppose because you've kind of been in that world too for a while.
Yeah, I was in my little bubble for a while, and
did you have people that you called on?
Not really.
No, not really. Yeah,
not really. And I'm a bit of a lone wolf.
Yep.
When I'm going through like an integration period, or whatever you want to call that. I do sort of withdraw because I just need to sit on my own. Yes, I had support friends. Yeah, I did have support friends reaching in.
Yeah.
I just couldn't get myself together to get up, go out, be around people, and it was like, I don't even know what to say. Like if they're like, how are you? It's like, well, not great.
Yeah.
But next question. I couldn't even articulate what I was going through. So it was like, how do you share or explain that to anyone when you can't even make sense of it yourself?
Yeah.
You can't really.
No, so that was hard. But they didn't go anywhere. The friends were there.
Yeah.
And so when I came back out, they were there. And that's the beautiful thing. You then hold space for each other. And but yeah, I did pull back on some people, and others I've pulled back completely. And then I've met some new people along the way. And I feel like what I'm really loving at the moment is just normal, like school mums.
I hear you.
Normal school mums. Nothing with about conspiracies this, or you should do this, or judgmental of this or that. Just normal
lunch boxes and
just
sports days.
Yeah, chilling out with mums, and just they're not like, what's going on here, or tell me this, or what's this, like just that normality, because I felt that I love my community and friends. But it was so much up here, and that's not reality.
Yeah,
because
this is
you're
my
not
reality.
actually ever alone either, really.
No.
And that's the thing that you kind of have to put in context, is like when you're sensitive, that you're never really alone. So to kind of create a bit of space around you is very important, really, to allow your energy to restore and be continuous and.
Well, it's about bringing the two worlds, isn't it, in together?
Yes.
Like really in together.
Yeah, whereas I felt that I kept them very separate.
Yeah.
I was Vanessa here, and then Grounded Goddess here. And then it's like...
wife and...
Oh, God,
together.
so funny.
Yeah. And then that's it saying that everyone just wants a piece of me. Everyone just wants a piece of me. And it's like, it's not like people are... Yeah, it's just like that feeling that you're too scattered.
Yeah. And I didn't...
To spread far.
I didn't want people being like, oh, that's Grounded Goddess.
Yes.
I wanted to be, that's Vanessa.
Yeah.
And so that's when the whole name thing, I was like, oh, I don't know if that's resonating anymore, because, that's when they'd put me on a pedestal.
Yeah.
And then during that last 12 months, it's like, I don't want that.
Yeah.
And I have allowed that for whatever reason.
Yeah.
And it's like, no, that doesn't resonate anymore.
Yeah.
I'm normal. Or
Yeah.
maybe not completely, but as normal as can be. What is normal, right?
To me, the name probably resonates more than ever for you now.
Okay.
Because you are both, but you're just not
True.
one or the other.
Yeah.
It's like the two... have come together, and it's
love
like,
that,
And I love, for people that are listening, when Vanessa was talking about being too masculine and then she's being more feminine, you've got a really beautiful, short, to the point video on this, and I loved it. It's like, and that's probably more of you now. It's like, get in there, just say it, and this is what it's like. If you like it, you like it. If you don't worry.
Yep.
And it's been, I loved, and that's what I resonate with. It's like quick and
straight to the point.
Yeah.
So have you found like being online and your YouTube channel, is that kind of freeing for you as well as with your energy, and also connecting with the community and
it's
sharing
nice.
what you have to share? Yeah.
But I do notice being more in my feminine, I'm not planning. I'm like, oh, I'll do a video today. Oh, I feel in the mood, and then it might be like a week or two of not being there because I'm doing other things. So it's not great for business strategy and planning. But
going with the flow.
Yeah, but that's the new world
thing. Yeah.
I reckon you're a step ahead of everyone.
Oh.
Not to put you on a pedestal.
No, don't put me there. But that is the feminine, is just going with the flow.
Yeah.
And not forcing, not pursuing, not chasing. It's just being.
Yeah.
And going through whatever that is by just being.
That's
the
so
highs
beautiful.
and lows, ins and
Yeah,
outs.
because my husband's like, we're going camping, you know, we're going on this trip, and I'm like, oh, everything's going so well, but I know how beautiful that is, and I know that everything gets switched off, and I'm like, you know, pitching tents and fishing and loving it,
connecting to nature, Mother Gaia. That's beautiful.
Absolutely, and that's the beautiful balance,
and it's the aspect as well of not kind of becoming automated, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like, you know, it's not, I'll say the word performing.
Yes.
You know, it's more like, as you say, honouring that feeling that comes through, and there's a message to come through, or I'm in the zone, so I'm going to share that with people.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
This
Very
has been
special.
really lovely. We have one last question before we wind this up. What do you do now to support yourself? And what does 2023 hold for Vanessa Richardson?
Oh, what do I do now to support myself? Definitely more downtime.
Yeah.
More downtime. I do Pilates 2-3 times a week. I get a lot of coffee dates to myself. I love taking myself out.
That's so
Breakfast dates. I have that time for myself. A lot of time with the kids on the weekend. I don't make other commitments. I'm there for the kids.
Oh, they must be just loving it.
Yeah,
yeah.
they
Because
are.
how old are they now?
6 and 9.
Oh, beautiful.
Yeah. Still
and
babies.
we, you know, I'm there for their sporting things. I'm there, you know, I'm taxi mum. I'm doing whatever that they need from me, and whatever that mother role is.
Such a joy,
for them,
isn't
and I
it,
love
to be able to
it.
play in that space. Yeah.
Hubby and I have been getting more alone time and times away. We went up to Red Hot Chili Peppers the other week.
Oh, yay! Cool.
That was terrific.
Not my band necessarily, but
I was going to say, he would be like, yay!
But she looks like a rock chick. She's got this like, you know, seaside motel,
I
like
bought
hardcore
this to
t-shirt.
wear there, but it didn't arrive in time. But I went and I loved it because I was just in that moment and just like, oh, I remember this song. Oh, yeah, I remember this. I remember this.
Yeah.
And so I did really enjoy it. So getting a lot more
Fun
balance
group energy.
and doing the things that life's about.
Yeah.
I've been getting a lot more of that. I'm sorry, I forgot the last bit
Do you
of the
feel
question.
like that's kind of like not being as serious as well in yourself?
Yeah.
Like, you know, because
Going
sometimes
with the flow.
I find myself, I do that.
Yeah.
And then to play is to
Oh,
remember
play's
to
a
play.
big one, isn't it?
Like,
Play and
it
laughter.
kind of sounds like you're
Joy,
sharing there. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's the hard thing when I had planned for 10 years or 9 years of a business to then going, I don't know what I'm going to be doing, but that's what the question was. What am I doing 2023?
Yeah.
We're even contemplating going away for a whole term, pulling the kids out,
Oh, beautiful.
going traveling overseas.
Unreal.
So we haven't planned it yet, but that's sort of on the cards, and just
Wow.
Precious
just going
memories,
wherever we want to go.
life
Creating
experience.
that's what I'm doing this year. Experiences.
Yay.
That's what I'm wanting to achieve and fulfill and have memories.
I just one little last question. Your gifts are still there, aren't they?
Yeah.
So they're still there, sitting strong. You've just decided that it's Vanessa's driving this car right now, you know, and that's like a side kind of thing that's for you now, not that taking in control.
That's not the number one anymore. Whereas a lot of my time, energy, intention went into business. And I was sacrificing myself by I was getting sick and run down and constantly throat issues. You know, and for me, the throat stuff, people say it's, you know, speaking your truth, but it's, to me, it's more being in alignment with your truth.
Yeah.
So I wasn't being in alignment with what I wanted. I was, you know, a million miles an hour that way, and it's like, okay, hang on, bring balance. That's what you're screaming, your body's screaming for. So I still do all my readings every week. It's almost like the gifts have kind of amped up and fine-tuned more. You know, I'm doing a lot more remote viewing and telekinesis, and it's just
Fantastic.
using energy but in a different way, and I love that. So that's like a little side hustle and hobby that I enjoy
for the
doing.
love, for
the love of that. I
keeping
really
that love of it alive.
I find it mesmerizing that, you know, even when I'm talking to spirit, it's like, but am I talking to spirit, or am I really tuning into the consciousness of oneness? And so that particular person who died, that is still part of the oneness. So that is up there. So I'm tuning into that, and I can get their memories, I can get their experiences, what they're saying, but I can also see what happened to them in the past, because time's non-linear. Like it's still always there.
Wow.
You know, so is it my mind that's projecting an image of that person, of who they were, because I'm tuning into the frequency and the consciousness of them, but it's not necessarily that person standing in spirit there.
Yes.
Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
Yeah, that makes so much sense.
Yeah,
makes a
so
lot
it's
of
just like
sense.
all of this is like, that makes sense, because when I'm remote viewing, I can go back into past, I can go into like, it's the same concept. So it's like it's still just that energy and that tuning in on that same frequency that exposes so much to us.
This is so this just reminded me of another video you did. I'm like, feel like I'm a crazy fan.
No,
But you did
I was
one
gonna say junkie.
Yeah, junkie. Yeah. I'm addicted. Which this was fantastic. It resonated with me.
Yeah.
The part, when you talked about soul guides or guides, and they were just aspects of us.
Self, yes.
I was like, oh my God,
Yes.
yes, that's
Yes.
so true. Past life, future lives.
Yeah.
It's all aspects,
It's
and
all
we're
there.
all coming back to one.
100%.
And that was so beautiful. So listeners, YouTube, Vanessa
Yeah.
Richardson, Grounded Goddess.
Grounded
Yes.
Goddess,
Or
yeah.
Instagram, amazing.
Yeah.
If you want it, very in simplistic form.
Yeah.
That
But
was
again,
brilliant.
Thank you. It's
Yeah.
a different perspective to what the New Age spirituality teaches.
Absolutely, it was empowering.
Yeah, because it's saying like
That's you.
That's you. That
Yes.
spirit guide has come in because that is you.
Yes.
in another life.
I
And
literally
so
was buzzing. After
That's
that.
why they choose you. It's
Yeah.
not just some random person coming in to talk to you. It's like that is you from a past life, and so that wisdom, that knowledge is for you to then embody into this life and carry forward.
remembering.
Yes.
That's yes, and I have never heard that before, and I
No.
loved it. I thought
Yeah.
that's
It resonates so
empowering.
much.
It's
Yeah.
like it filled something in me.
I love that.
Yeah,
Thank you.
thank you, thank
So-
you so much.
The timelines is a big thing at the moment, because it's funny how words come into like there might have been it's a word that we use a lot,
Buzzword.
but then it becomes the energy around it gets and
Yeah.
it's everywhere, and like
Yeah.
we've talked about discernment, we've talked about the pedestal, and then there's like what you're talking about now, the timelines. This is like in the previous, a few years ago, it was multiverse or parallel universe.
Yeah.
Where people would talk about it in a kind of a joking kind of way,
Yeah.
as a way of saying like, well, today I'm having a bad day, but in the multiverse or parallel, I'm living on
Having a good day. Yeah.
But the timeline thing is just becoming so tangible and so real,
Yes.
and what you are just sharing then,
Yeah.
that's a part of that, isn't it? Like
Yes.
that rise in frequency, the
Yeah.
resonance increase.
Yeah,
That
absolutely.
understanding of these timelines is
Yeah.
so important. Do you think?
I feel like that is. And, I guess even the manifesting side of things is still, it to me, it comes in as intuition first, and then it comes into existence. So it's not something you are using your mind to go, I want that, or that's what I'm after. It's almost like you get shown something, and then your mind tries to label it as a memory or whatever that is, or a dream or goal, and then we kind of label that as manifesting. But it's almost like we get shown what's coming for us. It drops in, whenever you have intuition, it just comes to you. It's not like you're focusing on or forcing something. And so same on the timelines, like that, we get shown those possibilities of our timelines. They can drop in for us. And then we'll say, oh, I manifested that. It's like, well, you're just very open. You received it first. And
Yes,
that's like you're just in tune with what's coming for you already.
and it's raising the frequency or the vibration to match that too, isn't
Yeah.
it? So it then comes into alignment.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
That's really, really, and it emphasizes that freedom of choice, doesn't it?
Does.
And being in like optimal mindset or a positive mindset, as opposed to kind of fearing the worst,
Yeah.
like letting go of that once
Yeah.
and for all kind of thing.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay,
I love it.
We are.
We really want to keep
yes,
going with
we
Vanessa.
do.
But we've got
do.
a lot. Well, Vanessa's
We'll
got a
have to
lot
get her
on
back
today,
in.
and we've just I think
Yes.
we've got some more things to share with Vanessa.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for your
Thank you.
time.
Thank
and
you.
thanks for sharing your awakening with us too.
My
Yeah.
pleasure. Thanks for having me. Yay.
See you soon.
See you soon.
Thank you for listening, and remember, all links to our guest are in the notes. Leave us some comment here or message us on Instagram. how our guest today connected with you, or perhaps something you wish to share. A special thank you to the blissful Ksenia Luki for our theme song. Joe and I will be with you next week.
Bye.
Ciao.
She teaches me lessons, and boy does she sing. Her voice sways like a hummingbird, flies like a shooting star. She whispers, you were never